Everybody, welcome back to the Beyond the Peloton podcast. I'm Spencer Martin, author of the Beyond the Peloton newsletter. I'm here with Andrew Vontz from the Choose the Hard Way podcast, always the Hard Way newsletter. We are talking, he's fresh off a very unenviable travel day. Got back at 1 a.m, back to Hope from his East Bay winter training camp. We'll report how that went. We have opening weekend, which Jonathan Kaplan smartly asked, why is it called opening weekend? Jonathan, we're not meant to question such things, but I guess it is technically the opening of the Spring Classics, Andrew, this weekend in Belgium. Omloop, Nieuwsblad, they've gotten rid of the het. It's just now Omloop, Nieuwsblad on Saturday, Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne on Sunday. This will probably come out late Friday or early Saturday, so we will not dive into the racing too much. Just the cliff notes are Mathieu van der Poel's there. He's going to win. Wout van Aert, not available to race, suffering with sickness, coming back from a broken ankle. So Visma's season continues to get better. But Andrew, Phyllis, do you want to plug anything and fill us in on any Wi-Fi news on the plane? People love it.
Yeah, I've got some big Wi-Fi news. I know that's why most people are tuning in to listen to this podcast. Please be sure to go check out Choose the Hard Way. That's my podcast where we explore how hard things build stronger people who have more fun. You can find that everywhere you listen and watch. Please like, subscribe, hit 5 stars. Spencer, we do have the adult contemporary gravel Shakeout Ride World Tour coming up May 28th in Emporia, Kansas. You say that you're not going to be able to attend. I think that's a false flag.
Jonathan, absolutely not.
Jonathan Waters, I'm sure, could be motivated to give you the Alex Howes, Lachlan Morton private flight direct from Boulder to Emporia, and you could bring your Starlink backpack to join us there because it's a very important day and you can get on with the rest of what you have to do, which is of minor importance relative to the revolution we'll be creating on the gravel of Emporia, probably the world's top destination the week of May 28th. Other than that, Spencer, I am still, of course, working with senior executives who know that they need to show up as real three-dimensional humans in long-form narrative contexts like podcasts and other contexts, internal and external. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to onerealvoice.com. I am at capacity right now, but I'm happy to talk to people about potentially working with you in the future. And some work that I think we have to do today, Spencer, there's a little bit of sleuthing that I'd like to do with you around the Little Trek Tour de France situation, which might not be top of mind for you, but as I was struggling with my Wi-Fi on my Delta flight last night, where I was told the Wi-Fi was working great at the front of the plane and they wouldn't be able to reset it, even though it was not working in the back of the plane, including for the staff on the flight, I began to think about the situation at Little Trek with the Tour de France and what exactly is going to happen with the composition of that team, given public statements by some of the riders and then some of the recent successes. Do you want to weigh in here?
I think I'm off the back on this. Well, the only thing I know about Lidl Trek is Mads Pedersen, the guy who was supposed to lead them in their quest for another green jersey, I would assume, and stage wins at the Tour, broke his wrist and collarbone on different arms. Not great. Apparently recovering fantastically, but is there a controversy that I'm not aware of inside of Lidl Trek?
I mean, there's always a controversy, whether we're aware of it or not. We, of course, have Juan Ayuso going to the Tour de France for Little Trek. And given Ayuso's statements in December that he's there to support Mads Pedersen, I'm just feeling, how's that going to work out, Spencer?
I figure, yeah. Did he really say that? He said
he really did say that. Yes, he said that when he joined the team. This was his statement in December. For me, Mads is the leader was the direct quote, but he will still target the podium. Given the events of recent weeks, do you think that this is still his view?
Well, he should be focused on the podium. I mean, that's very kind of him to say he's going to work with mods. I mean, maybe there's a little bit he could offer there. I think they should be focusing on the podium. I mean, let's be honest. Tadej Pogacar is going to win the Tour. Let's say Jonas Vingegaard gets second. Who gets third? It is an interesting question. I frankly, if I'm going to put money on it right now, I think it's Isaac Del Toro, and everyone else should pack it up, go home. But there does seem to be a lane open for Juan Ayuso to finish third. He's finished third in a Grand Tour before. As a teenager, is he a good enough climber? I don't know. We haven't really seen him climb that well in recent Grand Tours consistently, which is important. Consistency is important. I think he could probably shoot for that third place. He probably should. I don't know if he should be working for Mr. Pedersen. Maybe there is a few opportunities. I'm also curious about, speaking of Little Trek, everyone's talking about Omloop on Saturday, Mathieu van der Poel versus the world. Sunday, Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne. You're going to have Jasper Philipsen, a lot of good sprinters, Biniam Girmay versus Jonathan Milan, who I think people have forgotten is a very good classics rider. Very good. He's gotten sixth at Kuurne before. Maybe not that impressive. He's finished on the podium at Wevelgem, I believe, 2 times. No. Just, well, he got fifth in 2024, third in 2025. That is a hard race. So Jonathan Milan, how's he going to fare at Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne? Is he going to turn into like a classics superstar in Mads Pedersen's absence? That would be my question. What do you think about Juan Ayuso? I mean, I think you maybe don't put the house on it, but I think a little bit of podium ambition at the Tour is not out of reach.
Yeah, he absolutely should be going for the podium. That's why he's on the team.
Well, where does it leave Mateusz Skelmoza? That's another question.
Right. So where does it leave Mateo? How is Mods going to fit into the overall picture, given what we know he's there to do, or will be there to do when he recovers from this injury? And then you've got Quinn Simmons. And what has Quinn Simmons said he likes to do when he goes to races?
I'm assuming he doesn't have a lot of quotes out there saying, I love to just dial in and focus on the teamwork and put my personal ambitions aside. I don't think that's been said by Quinn Simmons. Am I incorrect?
Yeah, I don't think he's said that. And he does. He's had a little taste. He's been close. He wants that Tour stage win. So we know Quinn wants to win a stage. Absolutely. And he's been within striking distance. We know that Mods wants to win the green jersey and that he wants to win stages. And then you've got Ayuso going for the podium. And we know that this is cycling 4.0. We've moved on from 2.0, 2.13, 3.0. This is now cycling 4.0, chaos theory. We've trademarked that phrase. Watch for our video game of the same name dropping in fall 2026. I think peak Jumbo had this kind of optionality where it's Wout's going to Wout. We're going to let him off leash. He's just going to, you know what? He's going to drop the entire peloton and then he's going to go win a stage. Double Von 2. Today, Wout's a climber. This is his day. He's going to go ahead and win. I don't feel like Little Trek 2026 is at that level to be playing these types of games.
Yeah, like Jumbo is winning those tours. The thing you worry about is you split your resources and you accomplish nothing. I mean, this is their roster currently for the Tour. They'll add 2 more riders, obviously. Juan Ayuso, Mateusz Skelmoza, both of those guys are GC guys. But Mateusz Wojcik, he's a potential stage winner. Mads Pedersen, potential green jersey winner. Giulio Ciccone, stage winner extraordinaire and GC rider. Quinn Simmons, who wants to win a stage. Who is working for any of these people?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I will say Mads Pedersen has a great history of working for people. So he can probably chase green and offer some work in a Van Aert sense. Can he win green with a healthy Jasper Philipsen? Unclear to me. That could be tough. Quinn Simmons, though, I don't want to overshare here, but I'll just say there was many a stern conversation at the Tour within the Little Trek camp about how Quinn was potentially not focusing enough on the team and was focusing too much on getting in breakaways and him feeling like the team was holding him back. So how's this? Yeah, I don't know. Now that you've planted this in my mind, this could be a tricky situation for them. And we should add, this is not like, oh, that so much success they don't know how to deal with it. It's not even clear that they can accomplish the first goal, which is a GC podium. That's kind of a problem.
Yeah. And then I, of course, am thinking about Riccatello.
Riccatello is to be thought about. I'm looking at the decathlon. I mean, is here's the question. It's a two-part question. Is Mathieu Riccatello going to the Tour for decathlon? And or is Paul Seychelles going to the Tour de France for decathlon? Decathlon has a lot of decisions to make.
Yeah, I agree. They should both go.
I mean, they should not send Paul Seychelles without Mathieu Riccatello. I think if you send Paul, you have to send Mathieu because, as we saw, they work very well together. And I don't think you can that's not really fair to a 19-year-old. Hey, buddy, you're the only GC option for the team at your first tour, and you're a French rider. Good luck. You've got to send like a heat shield, a fellow GC heat shield. I do think they should send. I think it's a little strange if they don't send Mathieu Riccatello, because what did you bring him over for? He got, fifth of the Vuelta last year? Kind of seems like 23 years old, so he's ready to go. I think send him to the Tour. I also think if you're maybe go ahead and send Paul Seychelles. I think that's not a good idea, but I could see a world in which they do it. Looking at Matthew's schedule now. He's doing the Dauphiné, or it's not called the Dauphiné anymore, but that would suggest he would be ready to go to the Tour de France right after that.
I think you absolutely have to send Seychelles to the Tour this summer. Here's why. We know that 2025 was really the first year that Pog had a full strength training program, including those mini-band warm-ups, going into a World Tour season. And whether that was the X factor that took him to a higher level, who knows? He did a lot of new things probably in 2025. I think that was one of the most notable things that he did that may have yielded the incremental improvement that took him to another level. And we also know that Mads Pedersen, I believe for the first time in 2025, went to altitude. Previously, never gone to altitude camps. So these are riders well into their careers who are just now turning to some proven methodologies that perhaps give you 0.1%, 0.2%.
Well, Pogacar, we should say, in 2024, he got a new coach, completely changed his training, and then had two of the best seasons maybe of all time back to back. So there was other changes made outside the strength training.
There were other changes, and if you look at the literature, strength training can provide significant performance advantages for any cyclist, including highly trained World Tour level cyclists. And the fact that he'd never done it and added
how
it
do
to
you
his
balance
program.
that with adding any weight is bad for a GC rider?
Well, you don't have to add weight when you get stronger.
How does that work?
How does it work? Part of the benefits of strength training, and really one of the main benefits, is neuromuscular, and it's the ability to recruit more muscle fiber to contract more rapidly. And to do that, you don't have to have hypertrophy. So you can become stronger and able to put out more power without adding mass. So I think that's part of how it works. And then, of course, the time and effort and the recovery you put into strength training can take away from time that you're putting into your on the bike training. This is a 24-hour commitment for these athletes. It's more sophisticated than ever. And I think it's a difference maker that's not talked about that much. We know Mathieu van der Poel also banging weights, and we're not talking about curls and skull crushers, although I would say Pog's guns are quite impressive. So I think this is a factor. The reason I'm bringing this up is that Paul Seychelles, you probably read this, Spencer, did a 2-month altitude camp prior to coming into his first racing block this season. He's 19 years old. And is he potentially a generational talent? And will he and Riccatello be chaos agents in cycling 4.0 at Tour de France 2026?
Where did he do the altitude camp? That is a long altitude
Yeah,
camp.
I don't know offhand. I don't have that in my notes. We could look it up. That's what I thought. Wow, that's an extremely long altitude camp. That's a very high level of focus for an athlete who's 19. It also indicates to me that potentially he doesn't have some of the headroom that an athlete like Pog had at 19, who just kept getting better and better and better. And I have to think that if Seychelles is going to altitude, likely doing heat training, all of the different tricks that we know can eke out improvements for athletes over the course of their career. If it's all happening right now, then you don't want to wait. You want to send this guy into the crucible and see what you forge. And I feel we may forge a Tour de France champion.
If he did a 2-hour, I'm reading this, he did a 2-month altitude camp. That, to me, that's just living at altitude. At a certain point, when does the camp become your life?
Yeah.
Like, did Alex Howes do a 6-month altitude camp, or does he just live in Netherlands?
Well, he did until
Colorado?
he got on Jonathan Vaughters' plane, which you're going to do to join us on May 28th.
Well, here's the conflict.
Okay.
Maybe some people can help us with this. I have to go. This is not a bit. I am going to party with Tom Boonen in Belgium that weekend. I'm set to land in Brussels on the morning of the 28th. So we throw out to JV. Does he have a plane? Are we sure? We're sure about this?
Yes. I believe he has a prop plane. He may have gotten jet rated. Maybe he's instrument rated.
Does not have to be Vaughters. Anyone listening with like a Gulfstream 5 or higher can help out. Yeah, I could do the shakeout ride on the 28th in Emporia, and then I just need a Jizzy to go. I'm going to a tuxedo dinner the night of the 29th.
It's actually a masked ball.
But I do got to get that newsletter out.
And then Tom Boonen is going to show Spencer his private collection of 10,000 records, which he does have.
Yes.
Yeah. House records. He loves electronic music.
I am frankly thinking about skipping that dinner because I don't want to get a tuxedo. So that does open up. Maybe I could even get there the 30th. So yeah, with the correct private jet, I think we could make it happen. Let us know if you have access to that. Any listeners, and you want to help get me from Emporia to the Belgian coast in time for my live show that weekend. But Andrew, you're poking at a good thing here. So what you're describing is Hein Udebrooks, who was very good as a teenager and was ultra optimized, like doing everything a pro would do. And then, he had a great first Vuelta, and then that's as good as he's ever been. You could argue he's on the downslope recently. Is that mental, though? Is that because he tapped out his physical potential? We don't know. But compare that to Isaac Del Toro, who is getting better by the day. And someone at Colnago told me he walked in. This was not that long ago. It was like 2.5 years ago. That Del Toro walked into the Colnago office and bought you can like buy used bikes there, I guess. Like it's not a marketed service, but they will do it. Walked in, bought a used TT bike. And it was the first TT bike he had ever been on. And then like 4 weeks later wins the Tour de l'Avenir. So, and then obviously has been very good. So it shows you there definitely is something. If you're looking for teenage talent, you should always look for the one that's done the least amount of optimizing, because it would stand to reason. There's a lot of room to grow there. Paul Seychelles seems to be living like as much as a professional can live. I mean, there was a lot of talk. Like, he did a 2-month training camp for Algarve. Well, it's like, well, if he goes to the Tour, the training camp is for the Tour as well. Like, it just set him up for the season. I would worry about the mental aspect. Also, the Tour, physically, much harder than any other race. You could look Lenny Martinez, a guy had a great Vuelta, was in the leader's jersey. He goes to the Tour last year, and he's like hanging on for dear life. And then as a French rider, you're in this mental hell where every day the story is, why aren't you good? And then you worry that it sets them on a path that they never recover from. That would be my concern about a 19-year-old doing that.
Yeah, and then heading into this weekend of racing, we know now that Jumbo, I don't even know what to call them, Visma, Jumbo, I don't know. They've gone from Visma to now.
Definitely Visma
Well,
is the name of the team.
Visma is exiting the deal. Visma, as we may have covered in a previous episode, is a SaaS company. If you didn't know this, that's what Visma is. They provide enterprise SaaS tools. They're now going to be replaced, or the primary sponsor is going to become, if this were a polycule, and this is a complex multi-party relationship, the primary will now be Mistral AI, which is a French.
Well, I'd actually don't. So here, let's even back up.
All right, let's back it up.
So Visma, SaaS company, Visma was going to IPO like right now. But if you've not been following, tech stocks are getting absolutely crushed because the thought is AI can come in and do everything that a SaaS company does. Like my neighbor works for a SaaS company, he says they do $600 million in recurring revenue, and their valuation right now is like $600 million, which that's like a 1 times multiple is ridiculous for a tech company. Tough times out there for the SaaS companies. They've delayed the IPO, which is never a good sign. And now they're probably not exactly where they want to be. I think the quote was they're reevaluating their marketing spend. Also not something you want to hear if you are receiving a lot of money from their marketing department. So they're trying to IPO, trying to get out there. But that new company came on just as the AI partner. Not, if you read the press release closely, it does not mention them coming on as any type of named sponsor, does it?
It's very interesting. I'll need to go read this more carefully. Spencer, now that you mention it, I'd have to look at the exact language. Whatever it says, to me, it created the appearance that
that was my first thought as well.
Yeah.
That they were coming in to replace Visma.
Yes, that's what it seemed like. And then as a subset of that, it seemed like the second order impact, which might be even more important than the money, although probably not, was that they were going to have access to AI tools that superseded those of any other team. I find that to be a bit hard to believe. It sounds, just thinking about some of the news that's been published in the past, particularly about Team UAE, which I believe claimed they had built virtual worlds replicating all conditions of Grand Tour stages. And do you remember this?
I do.
It sounded like
this.
they built a neural net, and it was almost like Tron. They were injecting POG into a neural net. They didn't know how it worked, but it could simulate anything. Mistral AI, French SaaS company, founded in 2023. Valuation US $14 billion, and a logo that looks like the Space Invaders character.
So here's the exact language of this, and it's a very well written.
Now we're getting down to it. All right.
So proud to announce a new partnership with AI leader Mistral. The Minstrel wins AI as both a premium and technological partner. They'll collaborate with the team on selected performance-driven projects, applying its world-class AI expertise to enhance performance, optimize decision-making, and drive competitive advantage. So that could be, technically that could be like we've given them a free login to our product. You know, it's not necessarily coming on as a named sponsor. Maybe that's the goal.
Okay.
Eventually that
there's some obfuscation in that language. Yeah. I would agree. To me, does it say primary partner? What's the first?
No, it just says
performance partner.
To collaborate on selected performance-driven projects.
Okay. All right. This sounds a bit more, and this sounds different. This is like a Silverstone collaboration.
Yeah. I remember like McLaren and the Bahrain team are partnering. We read about that for 6 months.
Yeah, that was something else. I tell you what, though, Spencer, the thing this is making me think about is my own training. And as I've shared with you privately and I'll now make public, I don't know if I had long COVID or if I got the COVID vaccination. And if you're listening, I still get the COVID vaccination. I don't want to get COVID. And I don't know if I still got COVID or what happened. I feel like I had a respiratory tract infection that wouldn't go away for about a month prior to the Abandon Your Family live in Tucson at Pace Ranch. And it still seems to not be going away. And when I just did this intense training block in the atmospheric river in the East Bay, I feel like I'm calibrating all my training against a completely make-believe FTP now, which is really, really soul-crushing. It also might just be that I've aged out of my FTP. I don't know. Anybody out there listening, if you could suggest a software that I could easily dump my data into to dynamically detect
who
my
has
FTP.
this?
Who?
Is Jack Burke has a software that does this.
Does he? Do you know what I'm
Yes.
saying, though? Like, I
Yes,
know
I know
that
exactly
Trainer
what you're
Road
saying.
claims they do this. I think Exert might do it. I used to be, I don't know if you ever did this, Spencer, but before Training Peaks was an actual product, I had the WKO Plus CD-ROM, and I would dump my data in there, which was always very useful. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just wondering, is there something that I can very easily, I don't know, connect my Training Peaks to through an API that can dynamically give me a more realistic FTP based on my historic data? I'm on a bit of a tangent here. I'm wondering
And
if
what you
Mistral
care
AI
about is, what is my FTP today?
Yes.
Right? Yeah,
Yes.
that's actually what you need to know. And it's
Yeah.
harder to find out than you think.
Yeah, and a lot of people now talking about the ventilatory heart rate monitor that measures your rate of breathing, which is supposed to be able to give you some other metric. I don't know if that becomes more or less complicated. That's trending. And then I actually was talking to a friend of mine who's advising a company in the UK that purports to have continuous lactose monitoring through a wearable. I feel like if that's true, that would be really neat. I also feel like there have been a lot of attempts at that product. The form factor of the prototype I saw looked a bit cumbersome, so I'm not sure how it would work in practice. I'm sure it will be refined over time. All of this is to say, I wonder what Mistral is going to bring into the mix, and could this team of 3 of the leading AI researchers in France do something for me?
Well,
that's really what it boils down to.
I'm sure Visma's hoping what they can do for them is write them a 50 million euro check every year, so they can be the sponsor of the team.
Yeah.
I do think there's a lot of, I mean, what you just described is continuous lactate monitoring would be massive for everybody, for like pros, because it would basically tell you, like, you need to slow down, you can speed up. The thing is, I can essentially do this with my heart rate right now.
Yeah.
You know, I know exactly where I've gone over. And if you don't know what an FTP is, basically it's how hard you can ride for an hour. The reason that's significant is the moment you go even just slightly above your FTP, you're on borrowed time. Like, you will not be able to hold that. Your body is producing more lactic acid than it can clear, and you will fall apart. So there's like, unless it's a short effort, there's no reason to do it. You will be slower up Mount Lemmon if you try to go over your FTP. With my heart rate, I can get I know when I've gone even a beat per minute above my FTP. I can feel it. But yeah, it would be kind of cool if you could go out with a continuous monitor and it would tell you, this is what your FTP is today. This is how hard you should train in your intervals. I do think there's a lot of headroom there for AI to help with that. I would imagine.
Yeah, probably. I'm looking at the team for this product. It's pretty bananas. I'm supposed to talk to them. I want to learn more about.
And to think we got here from the Little Trek Tour de France dilemma. How we can weave and bob.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna need to have optimal FTP detection for the adult contemporary gravel shakeout ride World Tour. It'll be a great convening, unlike any that's ever been seen in the history of humankind. I'll be out there on the Lauf Segla, probably rocking and rolling. You know, we'll see what happens.
That's the gravel bike, the Segla?
Yeah, that's the gravel bike.
You're taking one bike, you think?
What's up?
You're just going to take one bike? Just the gravel bike?
Oh, it's tough because you know what's tempting, Spencer, given that I'm going to be going through Kansas City for this trip. Where do I want to show up on a Tuesday night?
Oh, you got it. Did they still do this? The Budweiser distributor crit?
I have to assume it's happening.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Right?
What do? Do you bring road wheels on the gravel bike? Is that fast enough for that race? Potentially no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we talk to Shikon. Maybe they've got a double bag for me. I can double bag it. Can do the Uthald and the Sigla, right?
Handlebars on, double bag. Can you imagine fitting that into a car?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, piece of
easy.
cake. Just rent the F-150. That's always the trick.
To take us back to Omloop, which is probably occurring as you're listening to this or has occurred. Kind of interesting. Mathieu van der Poel's doing it. Mathieu van der Poel's never done this race before and has done pretty well for himself. Wout van Aert always does this race, is not doing this race. Why do you think Van der Poel? I mean, I asked someone close to the situation, and their answer was he's bored of training, wants the race, and he's got a jizzy, so he's just going to fly up and race. Do you buy that? Like, why? It's kind of funny to me that he's done really well for himself in the classics throughout his career, and he's now mixing it up. He's doing opening weekend. He never used to do it. What's going on here?
False flag. He's there to help Philipsen win.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like everyone's picking him. We're not going to break down the betting markets here, but I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of disappointed people that bet on Mathieu van der Poel to win on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree. He's there to pay his team back because they're going to be burying themselves shortly for him to win all of the classics.
Every classic.
Right? So it's a little bit of payback. So that's what I think is going on.
It's not crazy to me. And this Omloop is an interesting race because they've changed it up over the years. But the finish now is the old finish of the Tour de Flanders, which is it's a fun little finish. You've got the church climb, as JP calls it. I think that's a great name for it. And then the Bosberg, and then it's like 12K flat to the finish. So it's a great mix of climbing, and then a group can come back and sprint like we saw last year. And then Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne, a little bit easier race on Sunday, usually a sprinter's race. I'm curious to see Jonathan Milan face off against Jasper Philipsen, and that's going to be interesting. The Little Trek is so confident in Milan. They are having one of their strongest riders skip Saturday, which is the bigger race. Only race Sunday. You rarely see that, but they want that fresh lead out. What do you think? What do you make of Wout van Aert? This is not, I don't like this. He broke his ankle. And he was coming back from the ankle break, and now he's sick. He's not showing up. I don't like that. It kind of seems like Visma's falling apart. Their AI is dialed, but they got riders leaving the team. They got coaches leaving the team. They can't get any of their highest paid riders to the start line. This just feels like vibes cannot be high inside that organization right now.
Spencer, here's a question for you. I agree with everything that you just said. And are we poised for a Christophe Laporte comeback?
You know, it's funny you say that because he just won a race recently. And I was thinking, I'd kind of written him off as an asset for that team. And this could be the weekend of Laporte right here.
I don't even remember what happened to him. Did he have injury? Did he have a Nielsen Palace selective knee surgery mid-season? Like what?
That is bizarre, by the way.
What happened? Yeah.
What is going on with that? Laporte, I think it was the holy trinity of everything. I think it was sickness, then so I'm trying to figure this out. Sickness, and then he shows up to, man, I think he was sick, came back, and then in his first race back, maybe got hurt. And then it was just, it's this never-ending cycle of being sick, then you come back and you crash and get hurt. And he actually finished the season pretty strong. He won the Tour of Holland, which was a hard race. That was his last race of 2025. Finished second at Paris Tours, so you can kind of see the form building there. And then 2026 wins his first race of the year, stage 1 of Vuelta Andalucia. So Laporte could be back, 33 years old, a little older than you'd want from a team leader, but sure he's got, this kid is the guy that won Ghent-Wevelgem in 2023, won Dwars in 2023, won European Road Race Championships 2023. Very good rider. And they also have Matthew Brennan, who's extremely, extremely talented. So maybe they'll be fine. I don't know. I was on a forum like an American sports forum, and someone was talking about it's kind of like twisted my head a little bit. Luka no longer being the best athlete from Slovenia. He's a very good NBA player, and maybe Tadej Pogačar is. It's like, what is going on? Did Pogačar get a new publicist? Why is he popping up in non-cycling things? And then it fell into a debate of how if Primož Roglič was on the pantheon of all time, and then someone in there said, Wout van Aert, not even a top 10 cyclist at the moment. I thought that's a little aggressive for a guy, the only guy to drop Tadej Pogačar in the last 24 months, but he has been struggling to get out there. I mean, what are we going to see this spring from Van Aert? He has to win another monument, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen this spring because he's starting, he's got a foot in a bucket right now, and he's got to get out of it. He's got to catch everybody that's already better prepared than him.
The only thing that reverses the free fall at this point is he wins Paris-Roubaix.
Well, winning Flanders would be a pretty big deal. I don't think that's going to happen.
It'll have to. He's not going to win Flanders.
Yeah, but if he's Flemish, do they even recognize Paris-Roubaix as a big race?
It's a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
Not even a big deal. Winning Roubaix would be you're right. That would single-handedly fix everything.
It fixes everything. Honestly, I feel like unless he has a win of that magnitude, and yes, Flanders would be acceptable, just for some reason I feel it's less probable.
Definitely less probable.
Right?
Yeah.
Unless he has a win of that magnitude, I think that we're going into road captain mode. And I think, yes.
Oh my God.
He's
to
washed.
Edit that out.
Nah, he's gonna continue to win, just relative, if we're benchmarking him against his peer set and not against everyone in the peloton, which I believe is the right cohort for benchmarking Wout, then he needs a win of that magnitude. And would a tour stage win, for example, be good? Yes, of course. Does he still have that within him? Yes. And we need to see him step it up in the classics, or he's not on the level of his cohort, I don't think.
It's starting to get out of hand with the classics. Like, he needs to make something happen here, and he's having all these problems. I will say it seems dire, catastrophic at this point. If you polled me day of Tour Flanders, who won Omloop, I couldn't tell you. I flush this thing from my brain it seems so big leading up to it, and I can't remember it by San Remo. So I wouldn't write him off yet. He's still got room to make something happen. I mean, you're right. Next to the Galacticos, he would be falling behind. But just showing you how he won multiple Grand Tour stages last year in 2025. Terrible year for him, right? Do you know how many riders in the peloton won multiple Grand Tour stages last year?
3.
No, it's 12.
All right.
But so Mads Pedersen led the way with 5.
I was thinking of all 3. Probably not many won all 3, if any, right?
It's very rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really rare. Mads Pedersen led the way with 5, which most people probably wouldn't guess that he had the most Grand Tour stage wins of anybody. Pogačar second, Philipsen third, Vingegaard won 3, Ayuso won 3. And then that's 5 riders. There's no other rider that has more than 2. And then it's Jay Vine down to Thymen Arnsman, 6 to 12, that it won 2. So you're still an elite company winning multiple Grand Tour stages in a year. It's also funny, there's only 40 total Grand Tour stage winners last year, but everyone says, if you notice this going into a Grand Tour, oh yeah, I'm here to win stages. It's like, dude, try to win one. You know how hard it is to win a Grand Tour stage? Like, none of you are going to accomplish this. It's very difficult. But yeah, I'm also concerned about Wout van Aert. What happens this spring? Also, do you know when Tadej Pogačar makes his debut? It's in 1 week. Strade Bianche. That's coming up fast.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
Whoa.
Yeah. Blew me away when I found that out. And also, did you see Arnaud Delis say he's not going to go to San Remo because Pogačar is going to drop everybody on the trip?
Yeah.
It's like, have a little hope, buddy. This is the one race where anyone can beat him. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's wild. Going back to KBK, though, Spencer, maybe you can provide a little bit of insight here. We've got Modern Adventure Pro Cycling at KBK, not at Omloop. How does
Yeah.
that work? Is this a promoter's choice ASO thing or what?
Oh, I should have done my homework on this. They might be different promoters,
Yeah.
actually. Well, so they are also different levels of races. Omloop is
Okay.
a World Tour race. KBK is .pro. I'm just quickly looking. I'm
Okay.
cramming here. I'm looking at the start list. So let's just look at the wild cards for Omloop. Your Unibet Rose Rockets, Total Isle Energies, Flanders, Tudor, Burgos, Pinarello, Cofidis, and then let's look for the next day. So I wonder if someone turned down an invite. Unibet, Tudor, Total Energies, Flanders, Pinarello, Modern Adventures, Cofidis, Burgos, BH. Do they get, maybe they have an extra, or maybe a World Tour team didn't go to this. Because you don't have to, a World Tour team does not have to go to every .pro race. And I'll look it up. It also, I should know what channel these are all on, and that would tell us what promoter they have. Here I have a post in drafts. Bear with me, everyone, while I look at this. I'm going to send this out right after this is on. So yeah, here's our big clue. Omloop is on Flow Bikes, which tells us that is owned by Flanders Classic. Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne, that's on HBO Max, which tells us that is owned by somebody independent or RCS, probably an independent promoter. So yeah, you would think that it's the same promoter, but I believe it's different. It looks like.
Yeah. Spencer, with Strada Bianche just around the corner, I want to give my annual reminder. If you're a World Tour rider, now is the time to remove your continuous glucose monitor.
Oh, yes. And we got a little bit of heat. We had Kristen Faulkner, who would get third at Strada and then got DQ'd for leaving her continuous glucose monitor on. And we had her on, and she told us in the pre-show, like, I can't talk about that, which I understood at the time. We didn't address it. I got a lot of heat for that we were covering up for. Yes, take that off. Do not get in like a 90K breakaway, bust your butt all day, and then lose the result technically because you didn't take that off. Yeah, I'm seeing right now. Omloop is a Flanders Classics race. Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne is this is pretty cool. Run by Sporting Club Kuurne. So it looks like it's like basically a local race that is operating at one of the highest levels you can. That's cool to see. And that's why Belgium has so many good cyclists. Do you have anything else? I mean, there are, and then I don't know if you've noticed this. So who have we not mentioned? We've not mentioned Mathieu Jorgensen. Oh, is that because he's not going to win one of these races? Yeah, because he's been shipped off. As this is happening, there's parallel races in France. There's 2 one-day races in southern France. That actually is a very good lineup, like Ben Healy, Mathieu Jorgensen, Mathieu Schelmoza. But Mathieu's not here. He's in France. He's not on the Cobbled program this year. What do you make of that? And is that smart with Wout van Aert now having problems?
I'm just confused. I'm not sure I follow the logic.
I don't fully follow the logic either. What was wrong with Mathieu Jorgensen being an amazing Cobbled Classics rider? Why was that an issue?
Yeah, the only thing I can think of course, there's perhaps specificity of preparation, and he needs something out of the other program he wouldn't get in these races. We didn't talk about this because there's no way to predict who it's going to happen to. There are definitely going to be riders coming out of this weekend on stretchers in the back of an ambulance. If we know anything about what happens during this weekend historically, it seems like a mass casualty event typically. Even we've just had some serious stuff. It's early in the year, nerves are high. Things can go down.
I guess, yeah. But the thing is, Visma, like, what was that, 2 years ago? They just were breaking the race up 100K out. They've always been on the front foot here. They won Omloop 3 years in a row up until last year. But here, this kind of makes sense. You look at this program. So it's Van Ardèche, Vendrome, Strada Bianchi, Tirreno Adriatico, Milano Sanremo, Amstel Gold, Flesch, Liège. So he's clearly going for the the Ardennes, Amstel, Flesch, Liège, thinks he can win one of those three. Doing the cobbled and then stretching into that is just freaks. That's only for freaks like Van Aert,
Right.
who probably doesn't get enough credit for doing things that almost nobody does. Also, Pogacar stretches it, and we saw he paid for it at Amstel last year. It stands to reason if Mathieu is a very good climber, maybe his hand is better played at Amstel or Liège, perhaps, and that's why he is different.
Spencer, a shocker to me reading the start list for Omloop is John Degenkolb still at it at 37.
Yeah, that's one of these. You see it and you think, did he not retire?
That's the exact thought that I had. I mean, we do remember Paris-Roubaix a handful of years ago where he was in the mix and then got flicked and went through the moon door. It seemed like that was probably
it, right?
That was probably it. He's back.
I think that was 2023.
Yeah.
Wait, no. What year was that? Was that 24? Hold on a second. Yeah,
that was an incredible race.
That was an incredible race. Did you see this roster for Picnic Post NL? I don't think we're talking about this team enough.
Yeah.
This is one of, and I do not say this to be disrespectful to anyone involved with that team or on the team. I'm just saying, objectively, it's one of the weakest World Tour rosters perhaps ever. Like, they have just, all they've done is lose riders, and they do not replace them because, as we saw in their financial disclosure, they don't have money to, because all they do, they lose tons of money every year. This is their team for Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne, which is, the first two are quite good. Pavel Bittner, that's a very good rider. Right there, you're solid. John Degenkolb, veteran leader. Then you're getting into Frank Vandenbroek, good rider. Then you're getting into riders I've never heard of. Tim Naberman. Then it's Timo de Jong, who's actually pretty good. Fritz, his name is Fritz Biesterbos. Last year, he was an amateur racer, which is awesome. That's awesome. I cannot celebrate that enough. He got 7th at Classic VAR. That's a very good result for a guy that was a 24-year-old who was an amateur last year. You don't see that on a World Tour roster that much. And then you have Nicholas Markel rounding it out, 26-year-old who was, I guess he's been on this team since 2021. No wins. That anytime you're reading for a race this big, a World Tour team's roster, and you don't know a good portion of the people on the team, it tells you that you're stretched pretty thin. Like that, I think they're going to have a very hard time surviving even to the next relegation cycle.
Spencer, I know we're going to get some emails or perhaps direct messages following this episode with people asking, could these riders keep up?
Yes, we will.
Right? And the answer is, could they show up at CBR and lap the field a couple of times? Yeah, I think they probably could. So just because we don't know their names doesn't mean that these riders are 10 times as good as anyone you've ever ridden a bike with.
This guy, Fritz Besterbobs. Do you know Besterbos? Sorry. Do you know last year he was an amateur racer? He won the national championship gravel event in the Netherlands, which must be one of the hardest. The second place rider was Tibor Del Grasso, who is one of the biggest talents coming out of that country. Mike Tunison fourth. These are very good riders, and he just rolls up and wins this event. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, and he got second at Gravel Worlds last year, the one that the UCI has, not the one in Lincoln, Nebraska, where I think they should have runs at the finish.
Our friend Jasper Verkuel, KLM pilot full-time, got 16th at the national championship gravel.
Casual.
Netherlands. Casual. Yeah, so he would be ripping up the gravel scene, Fritz, if he was still racing gravel, probably. And he could lap you in your local race if you dare wondered if they were good or not.
Yeah. Spencer, I know we need to wrap this up here in a moment. I saw that Levi Leipheimer has a podcast now with with a current professional cyclist. I'm going to forget the name of that rider. That rider described riding in a World Tour race with Remco and trying to sit on his wheel, and that you basically don't get a draft. So this confirms the hypothesis that we've advanced in the past that Remco's CDA is so much lower than anyone else's that it's almost impossible to draft the guy. It's reminding me of my experience drafting Dan Swenson, and of course, the chain link incident that we had at Pace Ranch.
Oh, man, yeah. Anytime you're taking the chain off before a big ride, you open up the door to a lot of things to go wrong. The thing about Remco is that makes a lot of sense because think when he's really good, it's when he's riding people off his wheel because you can only get a draft. But that doesn't help you if you're on somebody else's wheel trying to hold on for dear life. Also, you wonder, is he so aero, does he hurt his team in team time trials? That's something I've been wondering. Yeah, because he's going fast, so he's punishing them but not giving them anything in return. So it probably is a net slowing effect in a team time trial.
Yeah.
Who's the pro that Levi's doing a podcast with?
I'm going to have to use some internet technology. Maybe Mistral could tell me. Mistral AI.
I think enough time. Levi Leipheimer, like his publicist, asked if he could be on this podcast. And I was like, yeah, sure. Would love to have him on. And then we could never nail down the timing. Didn't come on. And I wonder if he was so hurt by that perceived snub. We didn't mean to snub you, Levi. We just couldn't figure out the timing that he's like, screw it. I'm going to start my own podcast. I'm doing it. Did you also see, I think you told me this. This is a Letterman. Did you see this? Did you see this? Mike Woods racing gravel.
I did tell you this. Yeah. Mike Woods racing gravel and discovering that you're actually just doing logistics if you were a individual athlete. Not only that, I can't confirm this. He's doing one of those writer journal columns in Velo News. It was quite interesting, him talking about what he's doing post-career. It's very similar to what we've read from other people who leave the World Tour. Kind of sounds like he thought, I'll be able to rock up and do pretty well. Discovers the level's insane at the UCI gravel races. I don't think he's done anything in the States yet, so he hasn't really gotten into the deep water with the Lifetime Grand Prix Sharks. I think in addition to that, he's also a pro skimo racer now, and I think he's racing triathlon as well. So he's doing oh man, I'm going to forget the name of who's the guy that left EF to go live in Hawaii and be an Ironman triathlete?
I think you're thinking of Andrew Talansky,
yes,
right?
He's doing a combination Talansky, Quinn Simmons, 2032, and Pete Stetna all in one.
It seems like if I was going to give any notes, it's a lot.
It's a lot
to try to be good at. The thing is, too, we were just saying, well, John Degenkolb still racing. Maybe Degenkolb has it figured out. Just don't leave because someone takes care of everything for you. And you still get to race your bike. When you go out of the World Tour, I don't know how to put this delicately. Do you think are these like Romain Bardet is another example? He's training very hard, doing a lot of work, doing very well in gravel. Did they leave the World Tour voluntarily? Or did they not get an offer that they thought was commensurate with what they could pull in by themselves?
They might have been shown the moon door, and they likely did not realize the heavy lifting that goes into being a normal person, would be my guess. That's like the vibe that I pick up either explicitly or implicitly. Anytime someone leaves the bubble of being a professional athlete, it's things like, whoa, I've got a grocery shop. Or
I do vividly remember a pro saying, man, I didn't know the grocery store was so hard.
Yes.
It had never been. Like that's, you're dealing with people that don't do a lot for themselves in certain circumstances. Yeah.
You learn things about your family when you're not away from them for 10 months as well. things like that. So the pro that's working with Levi is Cole Kessler, who's on Modern Adventure. So they're doing
crazy.
Yeah. They're doing a podcast together. Maybe we'll do an episode with those guys.
We got to do a crossover episode.
Yeah.
Man, we should not have promoted them. Man, the huge mistake we've made.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything else, Andrew. Do you have any other gravel news to report back to us?
No other gravel news. Spencer and I have been talking about doing something experimental that it's okay. We'll be able to talk about it. We might be doing it next week, and it might be on Choose the Hard Way. So you can watch at Hardway Pod or follow my newsletter, always thehardway.substack.com. The subscribe link is in Spencer's newsletter. It's going to be World Tour related, and it's going to be different and fun. So stay tuned for that. Dropping soon.
We're not going to say it because if we don't do it, we don't want to get. We don't.
Well, yeah, we're definitely going to
it.
do it. Just it's a question of when. But I'm actually thinking the racing the weekend of March 7th might make it the perfect time to drop this next Wednesday. So we'll talk about it offline.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here first. Thanks, Andrew, for coming on here after your long day of travel, and we'll be back next week.
See you then.
See you.